Have you ever wondered why the Irish say so much without speaking? In Ireland, gestures carry stories that travel deeper than words. Many of these gestures are centuries old, and they quietly shape daily life even today. Some gestures were born in times of caution, others in times of famine, and many in times of laughter. Every movement, every nod, every silence has a meaning. One of the first hidden gestures you may notice in Ireland is the soft upward nod. It is a small lift of the head, barely noticeable, yet it speaks clearly. This upward nod is a greeting, but not a formal one. It is a gesture of familiarity. It says, "I know you, I see you, and all is well." The upward nod often appears between friends, neighbors, or people who share a local connection. Its origin reaches back into rural communities, where communication was brief and modest. A simple nod was enough to express trust, without interrupting the rhythm of daily work. The downward nod, however, carries a different message. It is used with new people, strangers, or situations where respect is needed. The head dips gently, acknowledging presence, while holding distance. This gesture developed from an older tradition, influenced by monastic manners, where lowering the head showed humility and courtesy. Another powerful Irish gesture, though rarely explained in words, is the long, quiet pause before answering a question. This silence is not uncertainty, it is respect and reflection. It shows that the listener is giving the question the weight it deserves. In the Gaelic world, speech was considered a tool of power, so thoughtful silence reflected wisdom. The ancient Brahon poets taught that words could bless or wound, so taking a moment before speaking became a sign of careful judgment. Even today, this pause feels like an echo from a time when stories, lore, and memory lived in the human voice. Another gesture you may notice, especially in rural Ireland, is the slow, gentle wave of the hand at chest height. It looks small, but its warmth is unmistakable. This wave is often given to passing cars on country roads, where narrow lanes require cooperation. The origins of this gesture come from the tradition of Maithil, the community spirit of neighbors helping neighbors. By lifting the hand, people acknowledge shared space, shared trust, and shared responsibility. It is a sign of mutual respect, even between strangers. One gesture that often surprises visitors is the Irish chin point. Instead of using a finger, many Irish people point with the chin, gently pushing it forward to indicate direction. This comes from older rural customs, when pointing with a finger, especially at a person, was considered rude or intrusive. The chin offered a softer, more discreet way to guide attention without appearing aggressive. This modest smile evolved through centuries of hardship, where hope was often guarded. Yet even in difficult times, people protected kindness, offering a soft smile as a gesture of warmth without demanding anything in return. Perhaps one of the most meaningful gestures in Irish culture is the act of offering tea. Even before someone sits down, the kettle goes on, almost automatically, the moment a visitor appears at the door. In Ireland, tea is not a beverage, it is a gesture of welcome, safety, and belonging. This tradition grew stronger during the famine era, when hospitality held extraordinary weight. Even when families had very little, offering something warm to drink was considered a sacred duty. The gesture lives on today, a symbol of generosity written into daily life. Another gesture many people miss is the Irish shrug. It is a small lift of one shoulder, accompanied by a soft breath, or a quiet, "Oh sure." This gesture is ancient, born from centuries of unpredictable weather, shifting political landscapes, and fragile livelihoods. It expresses acceptance, patience, and resilience. It says, "Life is uncertain, but we will manage." Another fascinating gesture rests in how the Irish use their hands when speaking. Irish storytelling tradition, especially in Gaelic regions, relies on rhythm, emotion, and movement. Hand gestures flow smoothly, sometimes softly, sometimes with emphasis, shaping the story like waves on the shore. These gestures grew from the Shonchai tradition, where storytellers used motion, tone, and expression to bring the tale to life. In many ways, the hands carry as much meaning as the voice. A lesser-known gesture appears during disagreement or tension in a conversation. Rather than confronting directly, an Irish person may lean back, fold their arms lightly, and smile politely. This does not mean agreement. It means, "I hear you, but I am holding my position." This gesture comes from historical caution, when speaking openly could have consequences, especially during periods of political suppression. Indirect resistance, carried through body language, became a subtle form of survival. Another deeply symbolic Irish gesture is the blessing gesture, made without words. A light touch on the shoulder, a gentle squeeze of the hand, or a soft pat on the back. These actions carry centuries of spiritual meaning, influenced by ancient Celtic beliefs, Christian practices, and family traditions. The gesture often appears before journeys, after hardship, or during moments of quiet care. It says, "May you be safe, may you be protected." The Irish door lean, another hidden gesture, reveals comfort and belonging. When someone leans casually against a doorframe, talking without rushing, it shows trust in the space and connection with the people inside. This gesture grew out of the hearth-centered homes of the past, where the doorway was a meeting point between public and private life. Lingering at the door meant, "You are welcome. Stay as long as you like." One of the most subtle gestures, especially in the west of Ireland, is the sideways glance that replaces a full turn of the head. Instead of looking directly, the eyes shift softly, signaling awareness without drawing attention. This discreet glance comes from older times, when watching strangers or travelers required caution, but staring outright was considered impolite. It balanced safety with courtesy. Another hidden gesture lives in how Irish people point, not with a finger, but with a whole hand, palm open, sweeping gently in a direction. This gesture carries openness and avoids the sharpness of a single finger. It reflects the Irish preference for softness in both language and movement. Finally, one of the most beautiful hidden gestures is the Irish farewell wave. It is slow, lingering, and often continues long after the other person begins to walk or drive away. This gesture reflects the deep Irish value of leave-taking, a ritual of care, ensuring that the parting is gentle, patient, and warm. It is a reminder that every meeting matters and every departure deserves respect. These gestures, subtle yet powerful, form a language that lives quietly in daily life. They carry memories of hardship, hospitality, resilience, and community. They tell the story of a people shaped by land, history, and heart. Even today, these gestures continue to guide interactions, shaping how Irish people welcome, protect, and understand one another. Hidden in these small movements are the echoes of centuries, still alive, still felt, still honoured. Every gesture in Ireland carries a memory, even the smallest lift of a hand or the quietest pause in a conversation. And each gesture reflects the ancient belief that meaning often lives in what is not spoken. One gesture that captures this idea is the soft lowering of the eyes during a greeting. This small motion shows humility and is rooted in the old Gaelic custom where acknowledging another person meant honouring their presence. Over time, it became a gentle reminder that respect does not always need words. Another subtle gesture appears when Irish people listen. They tilt their head slightly, inviting the speaker to continue. This motion comes from the storytelling tradition, where giving attention was as important as telling the tale itself. Head tilting became a signal of interest, patience, and emotional presence. A powerful gesture from Irish roots is the act of standing up when an elder enters a room. Though less common today, it survives in rural families and echoes the deep value placed on age, wisdom, and generational memory. Centuries ago, elders were seen as carriers of the community's knowledge, and rising to greet them was an expression of gratitude. Another gesture woven into Irish life is the way people fold their hands lightly in front of them during serious conversations. This posture communicates calm and self-control. Its origins lie in monastic traditions, where keeping the hands visible and composed showed honesty and peaceful intention. One of the most understated gestures is how Irish people open conversations, not with direct questions, but with gentle observations. Small comments about weather, roads, or recent events create a soft entry into dialogue. These verbal gestures protect the rhythm of communication, offering space before deeper matters are shared. Another hidden gesture is the half laugh, used not to signal amusement, but to ease tension. This quiet laugh appears during difficult topics or awkward moments, helping conversations flow without conflict. The gesture comes from centuries of managing hardship, where humor softened reality and helped communities remain united. The Irish handshake, another important gesture, is warm but not forceful. It carries friendliness without dominance. Its roots may reach back to ancient Celtic customs, where open palms symbolized peaceful intent, showing no weapon was held. Another meaningful gesture is how Irish people often walk slightly slower when accompanying someone. This pace matching reflects empathy, a willingness to stay together, and a reminder that presence is more important than speed. This gesture likely developed in rural life, where walking together was a daily experience, creating bonds through quiet companionship. One of the most touching gestures is the Irish habit of checking in without appearing intrusive. A simple "How are you managing?" said softly, carries deep emotional care. This gesture of concern, shaped by centuries of community dependence, reminds people that they are not alone. The Irish farewell, perhaps the most symbolic gesture, is never rushed. Leaving takes time, doors remain open, conversations linger, and the final wave continues long after parting begins. This ritual reflects the belief that connection should end gently, with warmth and patience. It acknowledges the value of the bond, even in the simplest meeting. And when the last wave is given, it carries centuries of tradition behind a single soft motion. These hidden gestures reveal a culture shaped by resilience, community, hospitality, and unspoken understanding. They show how Irish identity lives not only in language or history, but in the quiet movements of everyday life. In a world that often speaks loudly, Ireland still communicates softly. Through nods, smiles, pauses, and gentle motions, the past continues to breathe in the present. And when you recognize these gestures, you begin to see Ireland, not only with your eyes, but with your heart, because in Ireland, even silence has a story.